Welcome. I'm Major Brian Foley of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Thank you for your patience. We're here to discuss an internal affairs matter of some significance this morning involving a Charlotte-Mecklenburg police officer that occurred around 3:45 this morning. Here to talk about this matter is Chief Jennings. Chief.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here today. I do want to start out by saying that the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department always takes pride in being accountable for our actions, making sure that we can serve the public to the utmost of our ability. So when we step aside from that, we are going to be accountable for that and be as transparent as we possibly can. We're at a point today, it's not a good day, not a good look for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department because today at around 4:00 a.m. We arrested one of our own. Officer Peter Lombardo was arrested for driving while impaired. He was at the grassy shoulder on I-277 near 12th Street when an officer stopped and noticed a police car that was stopped on the side of the road. Officer acknowledged that it was an off-duty officer. He has a take-home vehicle. That officer was in plain clothes, and the officer who stopped to check on him realized and identified him as an off-duty CMPD officer. Further investigation indicated that Officer Lombardo was in fact impaired. He was given a breathalyzer test after he was arrested, and he blew above the legal limit. His blood alcohol content was 0.17. The legal limit, of course, is 0.08. So this is a misdemeanor. He's charged with driving while impaired. According to also CMPD's DWI policy, this officer is immediately placed on unpaid leave and will be cited for termination based on our policy. That citing for termination will be sent to our Civil Service Board for a final determination on his employment status with CMPD. Officer Lombardo was hired on May 19th of 2008, and his current assignment is in the Eastway Division. I do want to say this. We have an obligation, and we took an oath to protect and serve our community. We cannot tolerate an officer who decides to drink alcohol to the point of intoxication and get in not only any vehicle, but get into a CMPD marked police vehicle. That is absolutely and totally unacceptable, and it won't be tolerated within our agency. I do wish Officer Lombardo the best, that he is able to get help, and if there is help that is needed. He made a bad decision. That bad decision is going to affect his career and affect the rest of his life. So I wish him well as he tries to get through this, but this is certainly something that is going to affect him for a very long time and will affect his employment within CMPD. The case is currently being investigated within Internal Affairs. I have full faith and trust in their complete and thorough investigation. and as we move through it. So there's still some questions that I may not be able to answer as we go through the investigation, but I certainly will try to answer any questions that you may have. Yes, sir.
Chief, does he have any prior disciplinary actions against him?
Officer Lombardo has 2 prior minor disciplinary actions. One is a driving incident that he was, I don't have the date for that, but we can certainly put that, well, I can find it, but we can certainly give that to you. But he was in a traffic collision, and it was found that his speed was excessive, and that was a violation. The other violation had to do with just missing, I think it was missing court or training. So nothing significant other than that.
Chief, in terms of, do you guys know where he got intoxicated? Did he take the cruiser to a bar, a restaurant, or was he at his house, somebody else's house?
That's a great question, one that we have been talking through all morning to figure out where he was. We do have ways of figuring that out. We haven't pulled that up yet, but we have some suspicion or some ideas of where he might have been, but until the vehicle locators are able to tell us that, we don't want to speculate on that right now. So
when was the last time he was on duty?
I don't have that information of when he was on duty. I do know he took actually I do have that information. He did take some time off on the night before, or the day before, and so he took a half a day, so he would have worked half a day that day.
Do you know how old he is?
See, I don't. No, I don't. We can get that information as well. I'm not sure of his age.
What's his marital status and any family?
I don't know that right now. Yeah.
Chief, so plainclothes, he was in plainclothes?
He was in plain clothes. He's assigned a vehicle because of his position with the Special Weapons and Tactics team. And so that vehicle is not to be driven, obviously, to go out and socialize and have drinks, and I think that's what he did that night.
Just generally, what is like the take-home vehicle policy? When can you use that vehicle if you are not going to work?
Yeah. So basically, you can use that vehicle in and around the Charlotte area. However, if you are going to have any alcohol consumption, any alcohol within your system, you are not to use a police vehicle to do so. You also there are also some other parameters as far as, where you were going and what you were doing within that vehicle. But we do enjoy the presence of extra police vehicles out there, particularly the marked vehicles. However, there is a great deal of responsibility that comes with that.
Will this make you reevaluate or look at your take-home vehicle policy at all?
I hadn't gotten to that point yet. I don't believe so, because I think we're always looking at where our parameters are. We have these policies in place that are working. This is something that I talked about it this morning, is have we ever had an officer intoxicated driving a police vehicle? I don't remember anything like that, but we are looking into that. But at this point, I'm hoping that this is an anomaly, that he made a bad decision, not something that was done frequently. But we certainly, again, hope that if he does have an issue with alcohol, a problem with alcohol, that he does get the help that he needs. However, he has made a mistake that's critical to his employment with CMPD.
We'll take one last question here.
We can take.
Your wording indicates that you're not exactly happy about this. I would imagine there's been frustration about this in a bit of a personal sense. Go a little bit into that if you can, because I imagine just hearing this, the fact that it happened this morning, especially to a, for lack of better words here, a 14-year veteran who should probably know better, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just tell me a little bit about that frustration that you're feeling right now, I guess in a personal sense about this.
Frustration is an understatement. When I get a phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's from my IA major. It's concerning that it's either someone's injured, we injured someone else, or we've broken the law. And when we take that oath from the day that you're in the academy, and we also show a video that specifically says, don't do anything to tarnish this badge. Because when you do, it affects not just yourself, it affects the entire Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, and it affects the entire profession of law enforcement, particularly at a time where we are held under the utmost of scrutiny. And when you do things like this, it affects our entire agency. So it is frustrating and it's disappointing. But at the same time, there's a reason why we have our policies in place so that we can quickly get out front and address these matters. Again, I hope that Officer Lombardo gets the help that he needs, but at the same time, you know, we also have to respect the men and women that are currently here doing the right things in the police department.
Chief,
Yes.
talk about the arresting officer. How difficult, I mean, put yourself back in his shoes when you were young and growing up. How difficult is it to arrest one of your own, or something like that?
Thank you for asking that. And I didn't mean to mention, because professional accountability is one of my core four within our agency. That means that you're not only holding yourself accountable, but holding each other accountable. So for an officer to roll up on a scene and realize that it's one of his brothers in blue, and to do the right thing and to take action, make that arrest, then it takes a lot, because you know, people talk about the thin blue line and how we are covering for each other or looking out for each other. I don't believe that's the case in Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Most of our complaints and violations come internally, and that means that we are holding ourselves accountable, and that's important for that officer that did that to know that the steps and actions that he took and the notifications that he made is what I expect of all of our officers. And if you don't do that, then you're in danger of disciplinary action yourself, and because that is the expectation and that is the policy. So very proud of that officer taking the right steps and doing the right thing when he came upon one of his own peers and in a situation that needed to take enforcement actions.
Chief, did he have any weapons or firearms on him?
Don't know that at this point. I do know that our special weapons and tactics officers do carry firearms in their vehicles. Generally those are locked in the trunk of the vehicle. So I don't believe he had any access to weapons immediately when he was stopped. So I'll take two more questions.
Have you had a chance to talk to him yet?
I have not, no.
You said he was pulled on a grassy shoulder. Was he just parked there sleeping, or?
Yes, that's what the indication is. He was on the grassy shoulder. I don't know if he was sleeping but he was, that level of intoxication is pretty high at 0.17. Like I said before, that is beyond our tolerance of incident, being in a marked patrol vehicle, and at that level of intoxication, that officer will be cited for termination. It'll go to Civil Service Board. So thank you all. Appreciate you being here. Take care.
If you have any further questions or any follow-up on this matter, you can reach the Public Information Office and send those requests in, and we'll get back to you. Thank you for being here today.